Welcome back to the Sideline Live podcast. I'm your host, Orla Keeling, and today is a special episode in collaboration with Impact Players, an annual conference for ambitious women in business and sport designed to supercharge your leadership game. I was thrilled to host a live panel at the 2026 edition of the event, which took place in Belfast in early May. I was fortunate to be joined by a fantastic panel of guests from a wide range of sporting backgrounds, including Shirley McCay, a world silver hockey medalist and the most capped athlete on the island of Ireland, Paula Stewart of Ulster Rugby, Neve Platt of Newcastle United, and Toni Quail, an amateur jockey. So whether you're a coach, athlete, leader, parent, or someone striving to be better at what you do, there's something here for you. Their stories are not just about winning, they're about influence, growth, decision making, and navigating the world of sport. I hope you enjoy.
Ladies, good to be here. A bit of nerves, anticipation. We're sitting outside. Paula, how are you feeling now?
Yeah, not too bad now.
Good. I think the theme of today is about backing yourself. So I said in terms of introducing the guests, I'll give you the chance to back yourself. Neve, you're right beside me. You're in the hot seat.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name's Neve. I currently am the operations manager at London City Lionesses Academy, which is the only independent female professional club in the top flight of football in England. I've worked in full-time football for the last 3 years, whilst also balancing my degree in sports entrepreneurship. So it's a very exciting time.
Hi everyone, lovely to be here. It's an honour to be asked to come and speak on this panel with such amazing women. I'm an amateur jockey. I was lady champion 24-25, and unfortunately I got a fall last year, which I broke my neck and my back. But yesterday I actually got the all clear that I have no other risk than anyone else to ride again. So my plan for the summer is to go back and hopefully be a champion again. And Paula.
Hello everyone, my name's Paula Stewart. I am involved in Ulster Rugby. I have about over 20 years experience as a rugby administrator, and last year I became the first junior vice president of Ulster Rugby, and in 27-28 season I'll be the first ever female president and the 150th president.
Woo!
Hi everyone, I'm Shirley. I am a former Irish international hockey player, 316 caps for Ireland, been to a World Cup.
Woo!
And won Olympic Games. I'm currently the Ulster Hockey Talent and Pathways Manager, but I've sort of recently secured a 2-year contract with a club in Belgium, so I'm moving there in the summer.
Neve, I'll stick with you as you're beside me. You'll hate being in the hot seat. We met here last year, and
Yes.
we were saying before we got on stage, Gabby Logan jumped up in her heels straight on stage. You weren't tempted to do that today, no?
No, I think I was more focused on not trying to trip up the stairs. There's a lot more people here than what it feels like when you're sat down there, when you can actually see everybody. So
Yeah, definitely. What were the big lessons you learned from last year?
I think last year for me it just sort of opened up my eyes to seeing sort of like that there is possibilities. Like a saying with me that's always stuck is, if you can see it, you can be it. And I really feel like last year at the conference, being able to see all of the speakers on stage and hear all of their inspirational stories, and obviously meeting Gabby Logan, you and I were lucky enough to sit down and have a chat with her. I really think that just sort of, I left feeling like really inspired that I could do anything and I can be anything, because I was only 22 at the time of last year's conference, so like, and just really starting my career in sport. So I felt like meeting everybody, networking, all of those things, like Lisa said earlier, I met Emmy in the airport and we went over my presentation for my interview, which I had the next day. And it was just sort of all of those things where I was like, oh, people actually do want to connect and they do want to help. And as women, we're able to sort of help each other, to boost each other up, to get those things, you know, and like working in sport is a possibility, especially in the male-dominated environments, which I know that we'll probably speak about later with all of our experiences. But yeah, that's sort of like my main takeaways from last year, was just knowing that you're not by yourself when you're trying to get there. Everybody in the room is also fighting for the same sort of things.
Yeah. Paula, you mentioned, you've 20 years experience across different roles in sport. Just navigating that career to now, how have you found that?
There's a distinct difference now and 20 years ago. I mean, I joined my local rugby club and I was the only female in the whole of the committees, like throughout. It was a difficult space. I, many a time, would have said a suggestion or an idea and been told, no, that's not a very good idea, only for a man to suggest it 20 minutes later and they go, oh, that's actually a good idea. So I learned how to navigate that. I think you've got a choice when you're the only female in the room. Just because you're the only one doesn't mean it shouldn't be there. It's an opportunity. And I said to myself, I can either leave here now, I can argue with them, or I can stay and find allies, build resilience, and influence these people. And that's what I have done over a number of years.
Shirley, was your experience in your career, has that been similar for you, that evolution of support for women in sport?
Yeah, probably a little bit different in terms of the hockey landscape. As a player, we're quite equal, and a lot of opportunities the same for boys and girls. I think when you go beyond that to board level and the coaching space, maybe not so much. I think we've come a long way, but the sport of hockey actually is a fairly equal space, which I'm really proud of.
Brilliant. Toni, what's it like for you, being a young female in such a male-dominated space? You gave me a great line when we had a chat a couple of weeks ago, if you wouldn't mind sharing it.
Yeah, we have to compete against boys, and we're not considered as strong. The horse is there for you, but for a finish, they compare you in strength to lads, and if you did get beaten in a finish, you're like, oh, because like the poem we created at the start, I could relate to it so well. Just like a girl, like she's only a girl. And we have to train a bit harder, and you have to be able to prove yourself. And it's so difficult because, as even Claire Baldwin was saying, like her father, like being a racehorse trainer, wouldn't have seen her taking over the farm. It's just that has just progressed throughout the years. And it is becoming better, and like Rachel Blackmore is being excelled our sport so much. She's broken so many barriers, but everyone then turns around and says, oh, maybe she's just a freak. But we can do it, and it's just, to be able to keep going. And there's actually so many more girls coming through now, which is great to see. Like, there's more ladies riding every day of the week, and we're getting there, but it's hard. It is hard, but it is getting there.
Yeah. Shirley, for you, the thing that struck me about your career and the word that stood out to me was longevity. I don't know if anyone knows, with 316 caps, I think it's one of the most female caps in the whole country of any sport.
And male.
And male, sorry, yeah. Woo-hoo. I think that deserves a round of applause. What does that actually look like in the day-to-day, behind the scenes, where you're not at the conferences, during your career? Give us an insight.
Yeah, a lot of hard work, a lot of balancing, a lot of sacrifice, but the sacrifices are always worth it. I started playing got my first cap in 2007 and retired after Tokyo in 2021, and there's been a lot of highs, a lot of lows, more lows than highs, but they make the highs all the more worthwhile. But I think I often talk about the beauty of being part of a team, and we're all part of a team, whether it's your family, your work, your sport. When you are that, you experience the highs and lows together, and those lows can be really pivotal, and they have been for us, and it's the joy of connection. We talk a lot about it, of being part of that team. So when we did have those setbacks, we shared those moments together, and that was what was really special. It made the positive moments, all of them, were more special.
Was there any particular lessons that you've taken from your career? I know you're involved now with kind of guiding the next generation. Is there anything that really stands out that you've learned from your career in sport?
Yeah, I think probably the main thing being learning what not to do and what to do. I've learned a lot of lessons, more so what I didn't enjoy and what didn't work. And I think I've tried to bring that through. One of the main things being how much you care about people. It's very easy to sit on a pedestal and say, I've this and I've that. And one of the worst things I can hear is, oh, when I did it and when I played. And I'm just like, no, hold on a minute, you know. So that's the biggest thing for me, is that if I can take care of the people around me, if I send someone a text and say, do you want to meet for a coffee? The first reply I get is, what do you want? Because I'm good at that. And just bringing everyone with me. And I think especially in a world where we rely so heavily on volunteers, not everyone gets paid, and you're relying so heavily on the parents and the people. It's really important to make them feel valued. And I think that was something that I cared about whenever I was a player, and it's something that I try to do now when I step out of playing.
Neve, similar question to you. You've been around some really elite players and coaches and administrators. Any particular lessons for you so far?
I think for me, it's like obviously working with the players as like off-pitch staff, if that makes sense. It's just remembering that everybody is human at the end of the day. Like, they may have this status of being this professional, they may get paid what I make in a year and a week. Like, they are still the same as us. And I think always just treating people with that same compassion and like friendliness as though they are no different, I think is something that I try to keep myself to, and not sort of like fangirl too much over the new signings at work.
Toni, the setbacks that occurred in your career, you've had a bit of success before them. How has those achievements kind of helped you in terms of, you know, coming back from your big injury?
They've definitely pushed me, because I literally only won the championship, and a couple of days later, like, I broke my neck. So I felt like I never really got to enjoy it. So that has been a big driving factor. And like, once you fall, you always get up again. And I think it's just being strong and not letting, like, I suppose we all, in every sport, we all feel like not to be weak, or as women, we need to be strong. But I feel like we can use that to our advantage sometimes and get us through the injuries. As Rachel spoke earlier with her knee, like, it's a good driving power behind us, and it's drove me through it's been a long 11 months for me I was lying flat in the bed looking at the roof for 3 days, like, not knowing would I walk again. So I just feel like you just have to keep going and don't give up.
Was there anyone around you that kind of helped you through, particularly that dark period at the beginning?
Yeah, like, my parents were super, I couldn't fault them, and my boyfriend and all my friends. Like, I wasn't left one day in hospital by myself. Like, one of them were always there every step of the way. And my boss, who I was actually riding for that day, I got the fall off. Like, he's been supporting me the whole way through. And the Injured Jockeys Fund, then going through horse racing in Ireland, there's an Injured Jockeys Fund, which is a charity, but they have a physio and a PT, and I've been with them. Like, I couldn't go to them at the start, but I've been with them since September. And I'd say if I hadn't had them, like, that kind of, like, I fell that into my job. Like, I used that as my job. Obviously, I couldn't go to work to be around the horses, but I used them to go, and they were a great support network. And I say if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Paula, with your career, was there any mentors and people that helped you get to where you are? Any particular nuggets of advice that you've received?
I suppose I've been very lucky in the people that I've been around. In my home club, I had some really, really good supporters, really good male allies, actually, who, you know, supported me from the start and said, this might be tough, but we're behind you and we have you. My history was in the men's game right up until about 2018, and then I was part of a team that introduced the women's and girls' game to our club, and then got involved in Ulster. There are some phenomenal women involved in Ulster Rugby, and, you know, it's considered a pretty male-dominated sport, but there are so many good people that are there. And I have been just so lucky in the people that I've dealt with and learnt from, because I did have to learn a lot about the women's game, but I am so passionate about it. It's just one of the most amazing sports to be involved in.
When we talk about leadership and being in the room and leading men, just interested in, there's probably a number of people here in the audience that might be in that situation, maybe for the first time. Just any advice or any nuggets on managing that as well?
I think most important piece of advice that I would give to anybody who's in that situation is, as the theme from earlier from Lisa, is back yourself. You know, you have to back yourself. I was in a meeting the other day with my work, and it was a room full of really, really inspirational women. And they said that women will tend to not put themselves forward for things because they don't feel they have the qualifications, whereas men will make up that they have the qualifications just to put themselves forward. So I think it's really important that you back yourself, put yourself forward, and don't be afraid to lead.
I think a couple of people laughed in the audience. I recall a couple of years ago I was applying for a job and there was about 10 requirements. And I went through it and I ticked next what I didn't have. I didn't have probably 3, and it was, and I was too focused on that. Didn't go for it, and the person that got it only had about 3 things, and they were a man. So that was an early lesson in my career. Shirley, the word leadership for you in sport, there's so many transferable skills. And just, is there any particular anecdotes or anything, or even what the word leadership means to you?
Probably a little bit of humility. I think that definitely, along with what I already spoke about the caring piece. Again, it's very easy to say I did this, and actually the more humble you can be, a quietly confident person, I think, as Paula sort of alluded to, it's very good to just sit back and take it all in, and actually when you speak then it's more impactful. So that humility piece, and just being able to read the room, especially in a male-dominated environment. And I know even when we're speaking about just being around male-dominated spaces, so the coaching sphere in hockey is relatively male-dominated, and the amount of times where I've been asked if I'm the manager or if I'm the kit lady or if I'm the girl who does the warm-ups, and actually no, I'm the head coach is amazing. So yeah, I think that humility piece is really important.
Neve, being involved in the background, the pressure away from the pitch, give us an insight into that.
Yeah, so it's sort of like one of them jobs that I wouldn't have known about if I didn't go asking questions. So I did my degree at the University of the West of England, which is based in Bristol. And I've played football since I was 4 years old, so I always knew that was like where my passion lied. That's sort of like where my love has always been with football. So I was trying to figure out what sort of career path I wanted to take. And I was lucky enough that my degree was based at Bristol City Football Club. So I reached out to the first team at Bristol and I said, hey, I'd love to meet you for a coffee and a chat just to learn more about your job. I met with somebody from the men's side and got chatting to him, and I asked if I could shadow them on a game day, and I was told, no, the men's side is really confidential. You can't go and do that. Ask the women's side. So I went to the women's side, met up with her, and she was like, yeah, absolutely, you can come tomorrow if you want. And so I shadowed her for 3 days, got to shadow her on a Premier, a WSL game day. So Bristol City played Manchester City. I was stood in the tunnel and I was starstruck by all of these players that I'd seen on TV walking by. And I was like, yeah, this is it for me. This is the job that I want to do. So that was when I learned what being an operations manager was in football. And I started, I left the little work experience trip that I had, and the lady, Emma, said to me, you should apply for the academy role that's out right now. And I was like, oh, but I'm not qualified, I'm a first-year uni degree student. I don't even have a degree. I've never worked a full-time job before. But I surely can't. And she was like, it'll be good interview experience. We'll give you one so you can sort of get a gist for how a proper job feels like. So I did that, and then they invited me back for stage 2, and I was like, oh, they're being really nice to me here, giving me a full interview experience just to let me down at the end, it'll be fine. So I had to prep a presentation. I went in to the training ground, and I had my second stage interview with the academy manager and the COO of the club. I was there for an hour and a half. I got grilled, and I left, and I actually felt quite positive. I was like, oh my gosh, that actually felt quite good. But still didn't think I was qualified enough. There would have been people with way more experience than me. But 30 minutes later, I got a phone call from the academy manager, and he offered me the job there and then. And I was super blown away by it, and it was just the fact that he, who is probably been one of like the biggest mentors for me in my time off pitch in operations, so much so that I'm actually going to be working for him at the 1st of June, so I will be moving jobs to work with Fernie as well at Newcastle, so where James had been my boss and taken that risk on me and seen sort of like the growth that I could have in the role, and took that leap of faith in hiring me at Bristol 2 years ago. He sort of maintained being a mentor that whole time for me, and then, yeah, lucky enough to go work with him again to just sort of keep developing and keep growing. But there's so many roles behind the scenes that you just don't really know about unless you sort of work there. Like you said, like Gail said earlier, about there being kit people or operations. We have player care, we have education leads for the girls. Like there's so many roles within sport that are off pitch that you don't necessarily know about.
Toni, the word pressure and being in a pressure environment, give us an insight into that. What goes through your head in the big moments?
For me, I always feel pressure before, like when you walk the track, you're riding a favourite, there's punters putting money on you, you feel a lot of outside pressure, but I always feel when you get up on the horse and you canter down to the start and you show them the fence, I feel like that all goes away for me personally. I actually don't bring the pressure on the horse because horses are that sensitive, they know exactly what you're feeling, so you have to kind of control and channel your emotions that, we're going to win this race, we're going to try, and you have to be very self-controlling yourself to, as Claire was saying earlier, shutting off the social media, where we're like shutting the social media off after the race if we get beat or something, and they've lost a lot of money. There's some people out there having a clue, they'd be writing things, but it's turning your pressure into good energy and channeling that into the horse and how you ride the race then.
Shirley, how did you learn to manage the big moments when the lights are on?
Reliance on the teammates. I speak a lot about team and that connection piece. I think, as Toni also says, I think when you're prepared and you can be confident in your preparation, then the pressure almost dissipates in that moment because you can feel confident that the preparation has been enough, that you deserve to be there. And I think that's really important, so that when the moment does come, the whistle goes, the event starts, you feel really confident and you have real belief in your ability.
Paula, when looking at the journey that you're going to be on, and you have been for the last 3 years, just conscious that there might be other people in the room that might be the first of what they're doing. You're going to be the first female president of Ulster Rugby. What advice would you give someone that wants to be the first in whatever role that is, that maybe hasn't pushed themselves forward just yet?
I think what I would say is I've never been the loudest voice in the room, but I have sat back and I've learnt from other people. I've grown within myself, and then I have put myself forward. I also have a really bad inability to say no. So when you say yes to something, then if you do a good job, they'll come back and say, will you do this? And then I find it really hard to say no. So I have got myself into some situations that I probably didn't want to be in, but and kept doing them. I just think, just keep turning up, just keep putting in the work, and it will be recognised, and take every opportunity. I mean, opportunities come for a reason, and you can only learn from them and develop.
When you're looking at, in terms of where you will be, have you started preparing or looking ahead to maybe being president, or getting different insights, or what's your plan? This year I've been the junior vice president, and I take over as the senior next month. And the junior vice president, normally there isn't really too many roles. You sort of fill in if the president and the senior vice president's not available. But because I find myself in this unique position that I'm the first female, everybody's been interested in, will you come and speak at, I did Belfast Harbour International Women's Day event. I hosted one for the Ulster Business Club, which was a really, really fantastic experience for me, because I got to host a panel with 3 of the Irish senior women rugby players, and
it was just such a fantastic day. Whenever they asked me to do it, I thought, I don't know if anybody's going to be really interested in this, you know. It's not Rory Best or, you know, somebody, but it was so well supported, and we had different sponsors reaching out that hadn't engaged before, just because it was a women's sport and it's growing so fast. So by the time I come round to be president, hopefully things like this will be a wee bit more natural.
Neve, you mentioned balancing full-time work and studying at the same time. How did you do that?
With a struggle, but I managed to do it. It was just sort of, again, being disciplined, sort of what people said earlier, what Claire said about focus. I knew where I wanted to get to, and I knew once I'd figured out for my career that that was what I wanted, I was going to go and get it, and nothing was going to stop me from getting that. And I had to complete the degree because I'd already done 2 years of it, so I couldn't just leave that and start the job. So I just tried to balance both of them. So if I wasn't at work, I was in the library. I'd be in the library from about 8 p.m. when I'd finish work till midnight. And then I'd go home, I'd wake up, go to work the next day, do the same thing until everything was complete. I was actually finishing my dissertation at the lunch break of this conference last year, because it was due in the next day. So I finished my job interview the next day and submitted my dissertation in the car park. So it was just finding the gaps of time. Like you have 24 hours in a day. I was using every hour I could to get both of them, because I knew once I'd finished the degree that I was going to reap the rewards of being able to balance so many plates, and that would also help me in the job, in operations. There's so many plates you have to spin at the same time, like different areas in different places. So yeah, it taught me like very good life skills, I think, of learning to balance everything.
So you probably don't know yourself now at all the time you have.
No, with the free time, I'm a bit lost, to be fair, yeah.
Toni, when you're recovering from such a major injury, and maybe take us through some of the later stages where, you know, it became reality that you could go back and compete, were you good at switching off from, you know, the athlete and recovering from the injury to other sides of your life?
No, probably not. I've always a very bad patient. But when I was fitted, because I broke C1, C2 on my neck, I was fitted with a halo, which I had a brace right down to my hips, and my head couldn't move. So I had that for 3 months, so I couldn't do anything. And it was kind of like, oh, I'll be grand in a couple of months when I get this off. And then I was fitted with Miami J collar. I've had that on for another 3 months. And that's when it started to get harder. It was, my body was getting there, my body was getting there slowly, but my mind was like, no, you need to get going. Like, you haven't done it for nearly 6 months now, you know, after being so active. So I had to really like just take a step back, take a deep breath, we'll get there. And I just kept it, and then I got an MRI in end of November, and it wasn't great. They were like, no, another 6 months, which was a big knock, because everything had been going well. So I got knocked back a little bit there, but I was like, I just had the dream of riding a horse and doing what I did. It was just a dream, and I was like, I think like as a woman, you don't want to give up on your dream. I felt like I'd done so well to make it come true. Like, I couldn't give up now. Like, I know like my parents and everyone would be worried about me getting back on, but you can't give up. Like, I think that's a big thing where I just kind of had to be strong and just get through it. And I only found out yesterday that obviously I can ride again, so I can't wait to get back.
Shirley, with your career, retirement in sport is quite big. We have a couple of athletes in the room. Just navigating retirement, I know you're still involved in the sport. How has that changed your relationship with hockey?
Yeah, it's a difficult place. You talk about retirement and you think it should be when you're, you know, in your 60s or whatever. Hopefully I retire from my work sooner than that so I can enjoy the rest of my life. But yeah, it was a difficult space. I think, like anything, you invest in something for so much of your life, and for it to know that it's coming to an end, and it's even more difficult because you're actually navigating the here and now itself. So I knew that I was going to finish after Tokyo. I was delighted to get picked, but actually for the tournament itself, it's everything, and you can't think about 1 second afterwards, and then all of a sudden there's no space between the now and what's next. So there was just an immediate switch from, okay, it's over now, and what now? But nothing can really prepare you for that. And I think there's a lot of support mechanisms out there now, and a lot of support for athletes that are retiring. One thing for me was that the joys of being an amateur athlete in a sort of a semi-professional sport is that whilst you can't commit to being a professional athlete, you're not paid full time, you have to find a job. And actually the benefit of having a job and being able to be in the sport of hockey and enjoy the sport that I played meant that shift probably wasn't as monumental as if I'd been a full-time athlete. So that was one of the joys of getting no money to be paid or to play. They were just one of few. But yeah, so it meant then that the transition for me was a little bit simpler. I sort of invested all my time going back into work, investing in the people that I'd neglected for so long, enjoying those smaller moments that I'd maybe missed. So yeah, it was a difficult space, but I think even sort of post-COVID made it a little bit more difficult. But I think I was able to navigate it and really supporting family and friends and loved ones as well.
I think one of the underlying themes of this conference is about reaching your potential. I'm interested, barring major injury, what are the barriers to women reaching their potential, what you've seen?
As a player or as a...
Either.
Yeah, I think outside of playing, there's lots of barriers, one being the opposite sex, but I think if you can find enough allies in that space, enough people that are willing to mentor you, support you, it can be a really positive space. And I was thinking of this sort of in the last few days because I've just come back from Belgium after a few days. I'm sort of the first female coach in hockey to go to Europe and be a full-time professional coach there. So, but being able to have that opportunity only comes as a result of being in the space that you want to be and really pushing. And sometimes being a female can have its advantages. And I think when you have a space that is so male-dominated, it makes the incentive and the motivation even more powerful. And that's something that I've always found. I love sometimes just being in a room full of guys and saying something and oh yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah, it's really positive for me. So.
Paula, what motivates you now? Like we were speaking outside, you're working as a civil servant and you're doing the roles you have in sport. What's the biggest motivator for you?
For me, so my love of sport has existed right through I was at school. I just wasn't really very good at it. So that's why I turned to the administration side of it. I played netball in school. I wasn't too bad at netball, but then I was never going to go anywhere with that. Loved rugby, but there was no opportunities for girls in rugby whenever I was at school. And it wasn't even talked about, never mind thought about. So my motivation now is so I have two nephews who play rugby, and I've also got a niece who's actually playing hockey at the minute. And my ambition is to make the space the best it can be for those people that are coming behind us. The women and girls rugby is growing really, really fast. But one of the things that we've learnt from all the work that we have done is that boys play well to fit in. Girls have to fit in to play well. So it's about making that space a welcoming space for everybody. And the work that I do with rugby is all voluntary. I do it the evenings and weekends and committee meetings here, there and everywhere. But my motivation is to make it a better place for everybody.
Toni, what will it be like for you, after such a long journey, the first day back? Have you thought about it yet?
Yeah, I hope it's a winner anyway. Just to make the comeback, I've had so many people with so many different options, or giving me oh, don't go back, don't do this. But it makes you want to do it more. And as I said to my friends before I went in yesterday, if my scans are clean and I'm like everyone else, in this room to ride a horse, I'm at the same risk, why not? So I think just if the doctors are, the doctor on my side, he said, yeah, go ahead, sure, I don't think anyone can stop you. And same, for the whole, girls going racing or anything, don't let it stop you. That's where we always like a whole great group of friends of ours. We're all just, we can do it. Like, we're as good as them, and there's nothing can stop us. You know.
Neve, what motivates you?
Ooh, lots of things. I think for me the biggest motivator comes like from within myself, for a bit of self-worth. I think I want to be the best that I can be at the top of the game, whether that be like a COO of a club, whether that be I own my own football club, whether it be a managing director or something, or it might not even be in football. Just I would like to be the best at whatever it is that I do, sort of is for me.
Okay, I look forward to repeating this panel in a couple of years and you owning a football club somewhere in the world. Ladies, I might wrap it up soon because I'm conscious I've learned anything from these conferences. If you are the slot before lunch, don't run over. I usually finish every episode with which is what I call the Sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions, but because we're at Impact Players, I'm going to ask each of you for a piece of impact, whether it's advice, insight, nugget, that the audience here can take away and implement short-term or long-term over the next year. Shirley, I'll go to you first. Anything that comes to mind? You're under pressure now.
When everyone else go first. Yeah, I think for me, it's sort of, I suppose it's a little bit different from specific to sport. It's more about physical activity. So this week happens to coincide with Mental Health Awareness Week. And I do a lot of work in schools with the Youth Sport Trust, as a charity that encourages young people to continue participating in sport and physical activity. And I think probably in the room there are a lot of people juggling 70 plates at home, in work, everywhere. And I think when you are juggling all those plates, if there is a stressful moment or something that's got to give, it's you. And I would that would be my encouragement, and something that I found really important is to really find time for you, but find time that is a form of physical activity. So that movement piece, it's the best free medicine you'll ever get. And I really encourage the children that I speak to. It's amazing when they go into an exam space or a really stressful period, and you ask them, do you go for a walk? Do you do any sport? Do you do any physical activity? Like, no, we don't have time for that. But actually, if you do and you can find space for that, it doesn't have to be a sport. You don't have to get picked. You just have to move. It makes their productivity so much better. So that would be my sort of nugget. I think if you're juggling 70 plates and you can find a way to keep your plate spinning, to make sure you do that, because it's so impactful for the other 69 plates that you're also spinning.
Paula, I'd give that round of applause as well.
For me, I think my piece of advice would be put yourself forward and take the opportunities. We talk about the term imposter syndrome quite a bit, and I'm sure everybody in the room has felt it at one point. I don't like to refer to it as a syndrome, because I don't think it is. I think it's just a feeling that we'll have every now and again. And from my personal point of view, I am going to take up the position of president of Ulster Rugby, and I never was a very good sports person, but I have invested time and effort in being the best administrator that I can possibly be throughout all of the years. So just because you're not particularly good at one thing, you can focus on something else, and you can get to the top of your game.
Amazing. Toni? Give applause as well.
My motivation would be is, like, what knocks you down, you can always get back up, and don't give up on your dream. And I feel like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think I would nearly live by that, just keep trying and don't give up on your dreams and keep following them.
I think you certainly embody that as well. Neve, I'll go to you to wrap us up.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to what I said earlier of the one thing that stuck with me throughout everything is if you can see it, you can be it. So if you could make one impact today at this conference, and it's finding somebody that perhaps wants to be in the role that you have, or somebody that you could connect them with, if you can make that impact and you can show them that they can be that, then I think that would be the best.
Fantastic. Well, look, I think we'll wrap it there. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity.
And so that is it for today's episode of the Sideline Live podcast. A huge thank you to today's guest for sharing their story, insights and their experiences with you, the listener. I hope there was something of value for you to carry forward with you in your sporting journey. If you did enjoy the episode, you can leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and do subscribe for more episodes coming very soon. You can follow The Sideline Live on all major social media platforms for more content, including clips, updates, details of upcoming guests, and more. Until next time, thank you for being part of the conversation.